Good evening. It is Monday, April 3rd, 2023. This is a Kearney Board of Aldermen meeting. Call a meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Shirley, have you had a chance to take roll?
I have taken roll. Everybody is present and you have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll move on to personal appearances. This evening we have Kearney High School senior Zach Grace, Missouri State champion powerlifter, Suburban Blue Conference Offensive Player of the Year, first team All-State tight end, and Kearney High School junior Jacques Gist, Missouri State champion powerlifting and All-State wrestler. Turn it over to our Parks Director, Eric Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a proclamation I'd like to read, and it states, congratulating Zachary Grace on his individual and state sports accomplishments. Whereas the Kearney R1 High School is known for turning out state-recognized teams and individuals of achievement, accomplishment, and recognition. And whereas Kearney R1 High School senior Zachary Grace is an individual worthy of such praise of his individual and state accomplishments during this past fall and winter sports season. And whereas Zachary Grace, accomplished Offensive Player of the Year in the Suburban Blue Conference, was named first team All-State tight end, 2022 All-Simone team, and was a state champion powerlifter held in Springfield, Missouri, setting state records in squat, deadlift, and overall weight in the 225-pound division. And whereas such accomplishments and achievements as these requires outstanding abilities in addition to complete mental and physical dedication and year-round devotion to conditioning and training. Now therefore, I, Randy Pogue, Mayor of Kearney, Missouri, do hereby honor and congratulate Zachary Grace on his individual and state sports accomplishments. In witness thereof, I have unto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the city of Kearney, Missouri, this third day of April 2023.
Congratulations, Zach. Coach Minnick, do you have anything to say or add to that?
I was just, obviously.
Yeah, you can go up to the podium, sir.
Obviously, really proud of Zach. It's a big part of the reason that I look like a pretty good coach this season. I was gonna hope that maybe on that proclamation, we could get a red shirt on there so we could have him for another year. So if you guys could work that out, that would be great. But awesome young man, obviously a great athlete. I think it's something to miss as well. So he's a great student. I'm really excited to see him play at the University of Central Missouri next year. So that'll be close to get to watch him play. And I wish I could take credit for all of it too, but he's been working at this for years before I even got here, and works a ton at it, especially the powerlifting and some of that stuff outside of the school building as well. So obviously it takes a lot of self-discipline and pretty high character kid to do that.
Great. Zach, do you have anything to say, sir? Nope. After we read Jacques' proclamation, I'll grab some photos with both of you if you don't mind. Thanks.
Proclamation congratulating Jacques Gist on his individual and state sports accomplishments. Whereas the Kearney R1 High School is known for turning out state-recognized teams and individuals of achievement, accomplishment, and recognition. And whereas Kearney R1 High School junior Jacques Gist is an individual worthy of such praise of his individual and state accomplishments during this past fall and winter sports season. And whereas Jacques Gist was an all-state wrestler, placing fourth in the 190-pound Class 3 championship, was a state champion powerlifter at the 2023 Missouri State Powerlifting Championships in Springfield, Missouri, setting state records in bench, squat, deadlift, and overall weight in the 195-pound division. And whereas such accomplishments and achievements as these require complete mental and physical dedication, year-round devotion to conditioning, training, and outstanding abilities. Now therefore, I, Randy Pogue, Mayor of Kearney, Missouri, do hereby honor and congratulate Jacques Gist on his individual state sporting achievements. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the city of Kearney, Missouri, this third day of April 2023.
Coach.
Again, Jock's another great young man. I've had the opportunity to have in class. We're really also fortunate that Jock's gonna play football for us this year.
Is that a first year, or is that a?
He's really not, but I'm really. But, so we can vote on that as well. Jock can vote with 5, everyone else vote. But again, just blessed to walk in to, obviously Jock had a bunch of experience in powerlifting prior to me getting here. I know he's done some national things with that as well. But he's a great young man. Kearney's really fortunate we have Jock for another year. So really looking forward to how he does in football and wrestling next year. But again, great young man, high character kid, great in the classroom. So absolutely fortunate to have him around, and we're looking forward to another year.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Let's start here. Congratulations, sir.
I'll get the Amazon in the back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, we love Amazon.
Congratulations. Best of luck. I think last year I told you let's do this again next year, right? We're gonna do the third year, right, sir? All right. Congratulations. Yes.
Hey, young to have you.
Maybe we can get a picture for this after.
You guys are more than welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, but if you have other things to do this evening, now will be a good time to excuse yourself.
See you guys.
Sorry, Eric, you have to stay.
Yes.
We have an Arbor Day proclamation that is going to be read by our city administrator.
A proclamation celebrating Kearney, Missouri Arbor Day 2023. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, I, Randy Pogue, Mayor of Kearney, Missouri, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 7th, 2023 as Arbor Day in the city of Kearney, Missouri. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the city of Kearney, Missouri, this third day of April 2023.
Great. I would like to get after the meeting, a photo op with our Parks Director and our Parks Board Liaison. So thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items of discussion on the consent agenda this evening? If none, can we entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda passes. We'll move on to ordinances. The first ordinance this evening is a motion approving bill number 13, 2023, presented by David Pavlich, our Community Development Director, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinance, Chapter 500, Building Codes. Pavlich?
Yeah, thank you for letting me attend the meeting tonight by Zoom. I'm have a little bit of duty with the youngster tonight. He's sleeping, so hopefully he doesn't interrupt any of the meeting tonight. Yeah, so this initial ordinance is to waive building permit fees for political subdivisions of the state. So those would be school districts, fire districts, library districts, for any construction inside the city limits. What it would not cover, though, would be like water connection fees or sewer connection fees where the city actually, let's say, as example, purchase parts for the water tap fees, but all building fees, so per square foot, would be waived with approval of this ordinance.
Any questions from the board for staff or comments? If not, can we read the proposed ordinance first reading by title only, please?
An ordinance of the City of Kearney, Missouri, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 500, Building Codes and Building Permits, related to permit fees for any political subdivision of the state of Missouri.
Move to approve on the first reading. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Second reading by title only, please?
An ordinance of the City of Kearney, Missouri, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 500, Building Codes and Building Permits, related to permit fees for any political subdivision of the state of Missouri.
So moved. A second.
Pull the board, please.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Holt.
Aye.
Alderwoman Barger.
Aye.
Alderman Lehman.
Aye.
Votes unanimous and ordinance passes. The next item is a motion approving bill number 14, 2023, also presented by David Pavlich, our Community Development Director, amending Code of Ordinance, Chapter 205, Animal Regulations.
It's board, this ordinance would expand the enforcement agents for the city to include not just the police department, but representatives in other departments to help assist in enforcement of this ordinance. We also identify that dogs can be released for adoption after they've been in a hold period. Right now, the ordinance is pretty old and it talks about destroying the dog. We want to be able to adopt those out as well, which has been our practice.
Any discussion items or questions from the board? If you could read the proposed ordinance on the first reading by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Kearney, Missouri, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 205, Animal Regulations.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Second reading by title only, please.
An ordinance of the City of Kearney, Missouri, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 205, Animal Regulations.
So moved.
Second.
Pull the board, please.
Alderman Holt.
Aye.
Alderwoman Barger.
Aye.
Alderman Lehman.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Vote unanimous and ordinance passes. Next item is motion approving bill number 15, 2023, presented by David Pavlich, our Community Development Director, amending the Code of Ordinances of Chapter 215, Nuisances.
Yeah, so the proposed changes to the nuisance ordinance would do something similar to the last ordinance in that we would have other departments, other city representatives able to enforce the codes for nuisances. If you've read through, you'll also notice we changed the dates from 7 days plus 5 days for mailing to 10 days, which is in state statute. So we want to match state statutes with those requirements. And it also allows us to send one notification to people during a growing season for tall grass and weeds. That way we don't have to wait additional weeks for second and or third or more violations. We send them one violation notice for the growing season, and thereafter, if we find them in violation, then we can have the city owners mow those properties.
Any questions or feedback from staff on the proposed ordinance change? If we could read the proposed ordinance first reading by title only, please.
An ordinance of the City of Kearney, Missouri, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 215, Nuisances.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Second reading by title only, please.
An ordinance of the City of Kearney, Missouri, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 215, nuisances.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Pull the board, please.
Alderwoman Barker.
Aye.
Alderman Lehman.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Holt.
Aye.
Votes unanimous and ordinance passes. Next item is motion approving bill number 16, 2023, presented by Eric Marshall, our park director, authorizing myself to sign a park reservation agreement between the Kearney R1 School District and the City of Kearney.
Mr. Mayor, the Kearney R1 School District has requested permission to host an employee 5K fun run on Jesse James Park Trail on Saturday, May 6th. We do have a park reservation agreement and a resolution, and there would be no charge to the schools for this, being that they are a political subdivision. However, in the park agreement, wanted to let you know that the liability insurance is included for that. And basically, that's all I have. They did come to the park board meeting and it was approved 7-0 at our last park board meeting.
Great, thanks for that update. Any questions or items of discussion from the board? If you could read the proposed ordinance on the first reading by title only.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to sign a park reservation agreement between Kearney R1 School District and the City of Kearney, Missouri, to host a 5K employee fun run on the Jesse James Park Trail.
Make a motion to approve on first read.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Second reading by title only, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to sign a park reservation agreement between Kearney R1 School District and the City of Kearney, Missouri, to host a 5K employee fun run on the Jesse James Park Trail.
So moved.
Second.
Pull the board, please.
Alderman Lehman.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Holt.
Aye.
Alderwoman Barker.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous and ordinance passes. We'll move on to resolutions this evening. Before we discuss each individual resolution to approve these items, we did receive notification from the Jesse James Festival Committee. They are no longer wishing to go forward with their demolition derby, the extra derby. So we are going to remove item B from the agenda at the request of the applicant. And then also, before we consider approving these resolutions, I wanted to mention to the board, I don't know if the rest of you have heard from the Kearney Richmond Council or the Equine Assisted Programs, the Better in the Saddle. I had been contacted by both of those agencies and organizations about asking the board to decrease our insurance requirement to $2 million. It appears that right, wrong, or indifferent, a lot of our neighboring and peer cities do not require for these sort of events as part of their reservation agreement to have the full sovereign immunity insurance amount covered. They're at the $2 million coverage amount requirement for their reservations. That in itself, in my opinion, doesn't mean that we should just automatically lower it to $2 million. I want the board to be well aware that, one, it's a board decision, so we can consider a change this evening or at a future meeting. But if we would consider to lower our insurance requirement, yes, it would lower the premium cost for the organizations, and not these two specific not-for-profits. I know it'll lower their insurance costs substantially, but however, that leaves risk on the table for the city of Kearney and our taxpayers. If any dollar amount that we would lower the insurance requirement amount would provide risk to the city and our taxpayers, because we would no longer be covered at the full sovereign immunity limit. So I did get a request from Jay Bettis, and I had a discussion at our Kearney Richmond Council board meeting. One, inquiring why ours is so much higher than neighboring and other peer municipalities, and two, if we would consider as a board decreasing it to match our neighbors and peer cities. So I don't know if you guys got approached at all.
I did by Kurt on that.
I don't know if you guys have any thoughts, or I know if you have any thoughts or want to consider decreasing it or keeping it the same. Don't want to put you on the spot.
Well, I do think that if we're not careful with fees and insurance and stuff, we'll have more people like, just decide that they're not gonna do a certain event because of cost prohibitive. So I do think we have to be good stewards with that as well. We often say that we want people to do things in town, but our parks department, we can't afford to do them, so we have other organizations that do, but if we make it cost prohibitive, then they won't be doing them either. And so in the long run, yes, we may be protecting ourselves, but we also may be eliminating some things that may be, an asset and a draw for our community and for tourism, things for our town as well.
What is the reason that we have the higher limit?
So right now, our insurance requirement covers us to the sovereign immunity limit. So as a municipality, that us requiring our applicant to have coverage up to that threshold would mean in the event of a lawsuit caused by an accident or somebody getting injured, these events, that limit means there's no risk to the city as far as, we couldn't be, any award would be that amount or lower. So that's why we currently require and have for many years that dollar amount to be covered under their insurance. So it just eliminates the risk to the city.
Is there any opportunity for cost sharing with that? Like we would pick up part of the fee or
No.
something like that? No? Okay.
Have we run this by our legal counsel to see what their opinion is? We spoke at the Parks Board meeting about this, and there is no mandate that we have to do the 3 million on it. Many other cities just do the 2 million on it. It's like the mayor said, that there would be some risk if there was a claim over that to it, but there is no requirement that we have that at that high limit.
That's accurate, and it's totally us as a legislative body. It's our decision as a board on if we aren't going to accept any risk, and or if we're not. And so it's a decision that we'll make as a board, but there is no statute or requirement for a set amount.
Is this across the board, not for-profit and nonprofit?
It's my understanding, Eric, I asked Eric to do a little bit of research, and could you speak on were there any of the cities I missed out that are at 2 million or?
We talked with Excelsior Springs, Gladstone, Liberty.
Smithville.
Most of theirs have been 2 million. Gladstone, right, wrong, or indifferent with them, has never had an insurance requirement. But visited with Molly McGovern over at Liberty, and that's been on the books. She thinks ever since she's been there, the 2 million. The director of parks down at Liberty visited with him, and he said it's been like their 2 million has been on their books for a number of years. Now Excelsior Springs, what they do, they have 2 different tiers. If it's a lower threshold, say for example, a fun run on a trail, it's usually only $1 million. If they think it's a higher threshold, and they go through a review form that they fill out, if it's a tier 2, it's actually $2 million. And Smithville has been 2 million as well. So.
And so where this type of insurance is brokers sell it in $1 million chunks. So the sovereign immunity is just barely north of $3 million. So people have to get $4 million for the coverage, and when it gets to that point of coverage, it's been doubling their premium cost.
What is our history or our track record as far as issues at events?
To my knowledge, and this was just me being a lifelong Kearney kid growing up, one individual back when anybody could show up to the Jesse James Festival Rodeo and you could sign a waiver and you are now entered to ride a bull. And so I know there was an individual there that I'm talking 25 plus years ago that got injured at an event. But to my knowledge, that's the only issue we've had.
So over a quarter of a century, okay.
So I just wanted to bring that up. If, like I said, I'm not necessarily asking the board to make a decision tonight. I know that this is really the first discussion we've had on it. But would welcome, if that's a change that you guys want to discuss at a future date, would welcome your direction to have another discussion on it.
I would like that.
I agree. I think because we don't want to be limiting what can happen in our community because of finances as far as these different entities.
So if we're going to discuss lowering the liability, should we then not take action on the two that are still remaining? Because that directly affects bits, if we lower it to $2 million, that directly affects what they have to pay out, and Tribe of Christ, it directly affects them too. So Yeah, if but it we, would be lower. but if we adopt this resolution with this dollar amount, we're tying them into that dollar amount.
I have a question, if I may. If it was on the same term as you, David, if we pass that and you come back at the next board meeting, could you lower that where this way they know it's been passed to host the event so they can start planning their event and then in fact get a lower premium, make it retroactive. I don't know if that can be done. That was just a question I had.
My suggestion is, first of all, the park has already approved the event.
Correct.
So we do know that the event will go on. If you don't feel comfortable voting to amend the resolution to lower the limit tonight, then your other option, so you could either amend the resolution tonight to a lower amount, that would work, or you can postpone to a later date. Either one would work. And I believe that both organizations could go ahead and plan on having the event because the park board has already approved the reserve.
And it's on our calendar for those dates to be open. We won't book another event one way until this is finalized.
I just think it makes more sense to postpone the motion, especially if it's locked in and we're gonna lower their insurance liability by $2 million.
To $2 million total, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
From 4 million to 2 million is what I was, yeah.
Well, why don't we just decide that right now, then we can make the resolution
That's-
change.
That's the other option, so.
I make a motion that we change the liability insurance to a max of $2 million per event. I need to say that differently.
It would be a minimum amount of 2 million.
Yeah, a minimum amount of $2 million.
Got a motion on the table by Alderman Holt to lower the liability insurance for our events to a minimum of $2 million. So that's per occurrence, or
It's general liability insurance and a minimum amount of 2 million is what the contract would read.
Do we have to have the 488 for any one person in a single accident or occurrence?
Yeah,
Yes.
none of
That
that,
stays
none of
on.
that changes.
Perfect.
I will second that then.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That would apply to everybody.
Oppose? Okay, passes 4-0. I personally think we needed a little more time to understand our risks there, but that's okay. Resolution, now we have a motion approving resolution 11/2023, presented by Eric Marshall, our park director, a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a contract between Better in the Saddle, which there's a scrivener error, I believe their legal name is Equine Assisted Programs, Inc., and the city of Kearney to host a bull ride at the Jesse James Park Rodeo.
Mr. Mayor, as in years past, Better in the Saddle, again, want to host a bull ride on Saturday, July 28th and 29th. This has been passed by the Kearney Park Board, and the reservation of park agreement is also included with the change of the insurance now, but the insurance is on there and they do need to provide us with their certificate of insurance.
What is this, how many years has this organization hosted this event? Over 10, I think.
I think
15.
2011, I do
Okay.
believe, is when they started that.
And they've
For
been-
this contract, I could go back and find.
Yeah, they've been a good group to have in our parks. Are there any questions or discussions on the proposed resolution for us to approve this motion as amended? All right, if we can consider a motion to approve this resolution as amended with the updated general liability insurance requirement.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Resolution passes. We'll move on to the next item, a motion approving resolution 22/2023 by Eric Marshall, our Parks Director, a reservation park agreement and amphitheater contract between Tribe of Christ, Inc. and the city of Kearney, Missouri to host a Christian men's conference at the amphitheater.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor. A reservation of park agreement is included. Tribe of Christ came before the Kearney Park Board and would like to host a Christian men's conference at the Kearney Amphitheater on Saturday, September 23rd. At the Kearney Amphitheater, they will have concessions sold by the Knights of Columbus. It will be a one-day event. They will provide us their insurance, certificate of insurance as well. And we think it'll be a great event in the park. They're excited about using the Kearney Amphitheater. The fees for this are a little different than regular reservation park agreement because they're using our sound equipment and things of that nature. And they agreed to all of the fees that are required, having a sound technician, our city staff being out there for that day. So their total fee is $2,330, and they are all in favor of that. And again, it did pass the park board as well.
Great. If there's no questions or items of discussion, can we entertain a motion to approve resolution 2023? Motion to approve as amended with the updated general liability insurance requirement.
I make a motion to approve 22/2023 with the updated and amended agreement.
Insurance requirement.
Yes.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Resolution passes. That concludes our resolutions. We'll move on to mayor's communications. The only item I have to discuss this evening is tomorrow, our police chief, Police Tom O'Leary, celebrates 29 years of employment at the city of Kearney, so appreciate your dedicated and continued service to our city, chief, and
Thank you.
thank you.
Great place to work.
We'll move on to the city administrator's report.
The only thing I have is that the next regular board meeting will be Monday, April 17th at 6:30 PM.
Great. We'll move on to Alderman discussion. Alderman Spencer?
Yes, I would like to encourage everyone to get out and vote because tomorrow is election day. There are a lot of things out there to be considered, so get out there and vote, please.
Good message. Alderman Holt?
Ditto. Yeah, get out and vote. I think it's very important. You know, it's in elections like this that people like to blow off because there's not a lot going on. I don't care if there's one person running or 20 people running. We need to vote. There's a lot of people around the world that don't have that luxury, and we need to stand up and be recognized and have our vote count. For or against, whatever the subject may be, but don't take the fact that you get a vote for granted. Go out and exercise that right. And I just hope that we have a big turnout tomorrow.
Great. Alderman Lehman?
Again, just encourage people to get out and vote, no matter what way you vote. The alderman or mayor's position, we've got the recreational marijuana tax on there also, so and just encourage people to get out and exercise their right to vote. So,
Alderman Barker?
Ditto.
That concludes Alderman discussion. Do we have a motion? Can we entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting this evening?
so moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Everybody have a good evening. Thank you for being here.